Hey there everybody, it's Mike DiLisio, and today I'm going to be taking a look at a small box game from Korean publisher Playtee Games called Stubborn Mules. And it is part of what they are calling the L-Board series of games, where essentially this box opens up to become the play area, and you'll see that here in the overview in just a moment. Stubborn Mules is an older game that this is a kind of a re-spruced up version of. It's a dice rolling game where you are moving mules and shepherds along a track, and it has a couple of different win conditions. So it's a very simple game. Let me just take a couple of minutes to show you how it plays. I'll come back here and let you know what I think. Okay, here we see Stubborn Mules. This is a part of a series called the L-Board Games from Playtee, the publisher of this game. And I'm showing you just the box because the box itself becomes the game board. So I'm just going to pop this open to kind of show you what I mean there. Okay, here you've got the game board. Here you've got the pieces, and I'll cut away and show you what it looks like when it's set up. Okay, so now you can see the pieces all set up for the beginning of the game. I've got this set up as a 3-player game, and if you look right here on the box, it tells you what the preparation will be depending on player count. But you're always going to have all 6 of the colors represented here, no matter what the player count. It's just going to be which distribution of the different pieces, either mules or shepherds in the game. So 3-player game, you'll have the red, orange, and the yellow mule, the green, blue, and purple shepherd. The goal in the game is that every player is going to be playing as one of these mules, and you're going to be rolling dice to move figures forward, both the mules and the shepherds. There is a alternate win condition depending upon which pieces get to the finish line. So this is the start line here where they're all at, and the finish line. What's going to happen is that throughout the game, by rolling dice, all of these pieces are going to be moving forward throughout the game. And the first time that a particular piece gets to this spot, everybody is going to turn around and start heading back towards the finish line. So you're moving forward along this board, this track. The first time that any piece hits this spot, everyone now is turning around and heading back. And whoever wins is going to be dependent upon whether the last piece on the board is either a shepherd or a mule. And this tells you this here. If moving back, let's say that these things had happened and the orange was the first mule to come back, and then red, and then the green and the blue shepherd came back, and then finally the yellow mule came back. Since the shepherd is the last piece still on the board, the first mule that comes back will be the one that wins. In this case, it would have been the orange. If, however, instead, you had a different variation where the shepherds had all come back and the last piece on the board was a mule, then the last mule, the stubborn mule, will be the winner. So it depends on which is the last piece left on the board. If it is a mule, that will be the winner. If the last piece is a shepherd, then the first mule that came back will be the winner. So how do the movement rules occur? Well, first player is going to roll these dice. Okay? If one of a color comes, you're going to move those pieces forward. So in this case, the red, the purple, and the orange would all move forward 1. If instead 2 of one color comes up, you'll move that piece back 1. Now, if you're at the starting line, you can't go behind, you can't go before that, so you just would stay there. If all 3 of a color is rolled, then you move forward 3 in whatever direction you happen to be going in that case, either forward here, or if someone has come here, coming back towards the starting line. The next player in turn order is going to take these 3 dice, and they have a choice. They can re-roll 1, 2, or all 3 of the dice. So let's say, for example, that they were the red player. If they wanted to, they can just keep this red die here and hope that they roll 2 more, moving them forward. The danger there is if they roll a second red, they'll go back 1. So let's say they did that. They did. See, they rolled that second red, they move back, and orange moves forward 1. The next player in turn order would have the same choice to make. Reroll 1, 2, or all 3 dice. And you're going to continue to do this player by player until one of the 2 win conditions is triggered. Either the last player on the last piece on the board is a mule, in that case, they're the winner, or the last piece on the board is a shepherd, in which case the first mule back will win. There you go. That's Stubborn Mules. Let's talk about what we think about it. Okay, so there you see Stubborn Mules, and as you can tell from that overview, the game itself is remarkably simple. There's mechanically not a whole lot going on. First thing I do want to talk about is the production. That's going to be a big selling point, I think, for not only this game, but these series of games that this publisher is doing. And so I do want to spend a moment talking about that. I love the components within the game. I love the idea of the game box being small and compact like this, easy to travel with. But this is everything you need. This is the whole game board is here in the box. The components are nice, the wooden, chunky wooden pieces with their stickers that you put on them, and they work perfectly fine. The dice are nice. The rule sheet is literally just one single sheet, and it's very simple. Again, the game mechanically doesn't have a whole lot happening, but the production goes a long way towards making it something you want to try, okay? I like the cover, I like the art for what is there, and I like the idea of this system. So component-wise, everything is rock solid. Now we need to talk about the game a little bit, and this is where things start to become a little bit less impressive to me. So this is not a new design. It is a re-implementation of an older design. I believe it was still called Stubborn Mules, just it was in German. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I believe that's the case. I am wondering why this title was chosen to be kind of redone in this series, because I just feel like there's not a whole lot there. Again, as you saw, you really only have one decision to make on your turn. Your decision is basically how many of those dice to re-roll. It is a decision, and one thing I should mention is that it does look like in this re-implementation of the game, they have changed a couple of things. It used to be, I believe, where you were only rolling 2 dice. Now you're rolling 3 dice. And so that maybe does change the decision-making, make it maybe a slightly wider decision space than it was before, but it still seems like a relatively by-the-numbers type of a game where there's not a whole lot you have to think about. There's a tiny bit of push your luck, and I love push your luck in games. I wish it was maybe a slightly bigger element of this game. There's some things that are clever, right? I like this idea of the first part of the game is a little bit of almost playing chicken, where you're trying to decide, do I want to try to race ahead as a mule, or is a shepherd clearly going to be getting to that turnaround space first? And if that's the case, you want to hang back so that you can be the first mule to cross the finish line. If the shepherds aren't being moved forward very much, you may want to try to bolt forward if you can. And the only way you're going to really do that is if you just get lucky and are rolling single of your color, or if you push your luck and try to roll 3 of your color. But by doing so, you're making it more likely you're moving back. It sounds a little bit more robust than it is. There's really a lot of roll and hope here. You're rolling and hoping. The first part of the game, I don't really feel like you have a whole lot of agency. You just kind of have to see who's more likely to hit that turnaround spot. I think of a game like Deep Sea Adventure, which this feels a lot like to me, where you are kind of traveling down a path and you are pushing your luck to some extent. And I think that game has a little bit more dynamism in the design. There's a little bit more to think about, a little bit more decision-making, although that also is a very, very light game mechanically. I wish that the push your luck was a little bit more amplified here. I think that the different win conditions are clever, but they don't necessarily lead to periods of excitement. In a small little game like this, that is really about rolling dice, what I'm looking for are these periods of excitement and, I would say that in the games I've played of this, the ratio is maybe 1 out of every 5 or 6 games you might get one of those yes moments where you pushed your luck and you tried to roll 3 of yours and it went, or something along those lines where you are trying to take a chance and it paid off, or it didn't pay off, and so you have the groaning instead of the cheering. But I want that ratio to be higher in a game like this where you don't really make a lot of decisions. It would be nice if the couple of times that you did try to do something, it led to a kind of a stand up and cheer, or, at least a little bit more excitement. So unfortunately for me, Stubborn Mules is a game that, while it is a lovely package and has a couple of clever ideas, it does not really add up to a whole lot. I'm giving it a 5 out of 10. It's something that I wish had a little bit more going on. And when I read the rules, I thought, okay, this might be, I don't know what to think, but I'm hoping that it plays better than it reads. And through multiple plays, it really has not come out to be terribly exciting. I've played across different player accounts. The 2-player game, which adds a couple of neutral mules, doesn't really change anything. The higher player counts don't really change a whole lot in the feel of the game. So therefore, Stubborn Mules, unfortunately, is not one that I can give a recommendation to. All right, well, that's it for me. This is Mike DiLisio signing off from Dice Tower headquarters.